welcome to Indus News Live from Islamabad. I'm Hira Mustafa and these are the headlines. Pakistan has warned against peace spoilers within and outside Afghanistan that have benefited from war economy. Addressing the Pakistan-Afghanistan dialogue in Islamabad, Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said the Afghan issue can only be resolved through dialogue as war and reconciliation cannot go together. He added there is limited window of opportunity for lasting peace in Afghanistan and its leadership must seize this opportunity. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, the Taliban claim to have taken control of the Khanabad district in Kunduz province and the Sayyid district in Saraipur province. A Taliban spokesperson said the security forces have abandoned their post in both districts. Kabul has not commented on the Taliban's claim yet. Israel's new Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has vowed to mend the rift in the nation after 2 years of political deadlock. Earlier, Bennett and Yair Lapid were sworn in as Israel's 13th and 14th Prime Ministers respectively. Under a deal, Bennett will head the new cabinet for a little over 2 years before his centrist ally Yair Lapid takes over. Meanwhile, thousands of people turned out across the country to celebrate the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's record 12-year rule. India has reported nearly 4,000 deaths from coronavirus and over 70,000 infections overnight. In Pakistan, 34 people lost their lives to the virus, while a little over 1,000 tested positive in the past 24 hours. Globally, the virus has claimed nearly 3.8 million lives and infected over 175.8 million people. Well, those were the headlines. News in detail coming after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now, the news in detail. Pakistan has warned against peace spoilers within and outside Afghanistan that have benefited from the war economy. Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi said this while addressing Pakistan-Afghanistan Track 2 dialogue in Islamabad. Qureshi said the Afghan issue can only be resolved through dialogue as war and reconciliation cannot go together. He added there is a limited window of opportunity for lasting peace in Afghanistan and its leadership must seize this. Qureshi said Pakistan wants peace in Afghanistan, therefore it has engaged all ethnic leaders. He thanked the Afghan leadership for acknowledging Islamabad's constructive and positive role in the peace process, but criticized Afghan National Security Advisor Hamdullah Mohib's statement against Islamabad. The two-day Pakistan-Afghanistan Track 2 dialogue is discussing challenges following the withdrawal of foreign troops from Kabul. Apart from Pakistan and Afghanistan, the conference will also be attended by delegates from Doha. Meanwhile, in Afghanistan, the Taliban claim to have taken control of the Khanabad district in Kunduz province and the Sayyid district in Saraipur province. A Taliban spokesperson said the security forces have abandoned their post in both districts. He said a large number of weapons, ammunition and vehicles were also seized. The spokesperson also claimed that over 50 soldiers and policemen surrendered to the Taliban in Balkh and Ghazni provinces. He accused Kabul of shelling a village in Karabakh district, killing 2 children. However, Kabul has not commented on the Taliban's claims yet. Israel's parliament has approved a new unity government, ending Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's record 12-year-long tenure. Israel's parliament has approved a new unity government, ending Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's record 12-year-long tenure. Under a deal, ultra-nationalist Bennett will head the new cabinet for a little over 2 years before his centrist ally Yair Lapid takes over. They will head a government of parties from across the political spectrum, including for the first time one that represents a minority comprising of Palestinian citizens. Netanyahu failed to form a government after Israel's March 23rd election, its fourth in 2 years. Addressing the parliament, 71-year-old Netanyahu said he would be back sooner than expected. Meanwhile, thousands of people turned out across the country to celebrate the end of Benjamin Netanyahu's record rule. However, Palestinians were unmoved by the change of administration, predicting that Bennett would pursue Netanyahu's right-wing agenda. Bennett, a former defense chief, advocates annexing parts of the occupied West Bank. U.S. President Joe Biden congratulated Bennett, saying he looked forward to strengthening the close and enduring relationship between the two countries. China has denounced a joint statement by the group of 7 leaders as a gross interference in its internal affairs. This comes after the world's 7 richest democracies sought a unified position to counter Beijing at the summit. China's embassy in London urged the G7 countries to stop slandering Beijing. It reaffirmed Beijing's resolve to defend its national sovereignty, security, and development interests. The embassy added China will continue to actively cooperate in international origin tracking work for COVID-19. Earlier, China's growing influence, climate change, and COVID-19 dominated the G7 summit in England this weekend. The G7 demanded Russia take action to halt cyber attacks that demand ransoms from businesses in the West. Moscow criticized the communique that called for predictable relations with Russia but threatened to stop destabilizing behavior. Meanwhile, Japan's Prime Minister thanked the G7 for backing the Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
With regards to the Tokyo Games, I have explained that we will take thorough anti-infection measures to hold safe and secure games. I have received strong support from all leaders.
The Tokyo Olympics is scheduled to be held from 23rd of July to 8th of August 2021. And now moving on, U.S. President Joe Biden says he intends to tell his Russian counterpart, Vladimir Putin, that Moscow and Washington may finance affairs of cooperation. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made the remarks in an interview ahead of the summit of Biden and Putin on 16th of June in Geneva. Blinken said the president will reiterate U.S. desire for more predictable relations with Russia. The Secretary of State said there are areas where it is in the two countries' interest to cooperate. However, Washington will respond forcefully to Moscow's reckless and aggressive actions. The top U.S. diplomat said the U.S. will see if Russia makes good on any commitments it makes. He said the reinvigorated American leadership will bring world's democracies together in common cause and purpose. The trial of Myanmar's ousted leader Aung San Suu Kyi is set to start today. The Nobel laureate faces several charges, including intent to incite, breaching coronavirus regulations, and the Official Secrets Act. Suu Kyi's lawyer says the final trial is expected to run until the end of July. It came as the junta-led foreign ministry rejected UN's criticism over the military's use of deadly force against protesters. In the press release, it said the UN neither condemned the acts of terrorist groups nor the deaths of the security forces. As the crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations continue, security forces have arrested 5 anti-coup protesters in Mandalay. Meanwhile, state media has accused an ethnic armed group of killing 25 construction workers in the east of the country. It said the men were abducted from the construction site on a bridge in the Mayawati district on May 31st. The Karen National Defense Organization has not yet commented on the accusation. India has reported nearly 4,000 deaths from coronavirus and over 70,000 infections overnight. While India has reported a dip in new cases and deaths, a New York Times report says the numbers are highly underreported. Meanwhile, Brazil has registered close to 38,000 infections with over 1,100 deaths overnight. Britain is once again losing ground to the virus as cases shoot past 7,000 for the 8th straight day. Senior ministers have signed off a decision to delay the lifting of all coronavirus restrictions in England. In Thailand, a series of coronavirus outbreaks in factories is threatening to further undermine the economy by delaying the lifting of restrictions. Globally, the virus has claimed nearly 3.8 million lives and infected over 175.8 million people. In Pakistan, coronavirus has claimed 34 more lives in the past 24 hours. The health ministry says a little over 1,000 people tested positive for the virus overnight. The country has reported nearly 22,000 deaths and over 942,000 cases since the pandemic began. More than 878,000 people have recovered so far, while over 41,000 cases are still active. Over 2,600 of them are critical. Meanwhile, authorities said the country's positivity ratio has once again dropped below 3%. Egypt has signed a $2 billion deal with France to finance projects in the transportation, infrastructure and electricity sectors. The signing ceremony was held during French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire's visit to Cairo. In a statement, an Egyptian government spokesperson said France will invest $939 million directly. He added that the remaining $1 billion would be financed through the France Development Agency. Le Maire said Egypt has become a strategic economic partner of France following the deal. Now it's time to take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The 2021 Westminster Dog Show has kicked off at the Lyndhurst Estate in Tarrytown, New York. Over 200 breeds and 2,500 dogs are featuring the show. Details in this report. The annual Westminster Dog Show is the second oldest continuous sporting event in the U.S. after the Kentucky Derby. Dogs for this year's competition have come from 50 states and Puerto Rico, as well as 10 other countries.
So this is Natty and Tilly Pugdashian, and they're known for their fashion on Instagram, and worldwide people know them for the big fashion statements they make. So we're here we showed and we're having fun, and now we're here to just kick off our shoes and enjoy the rest of it.
The all-breed show has been held in New York's Madison Square Garden every year since 1877, but it was relocated this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Her name is Maya, and she is going to be 2 next month, so she's pretty young, but she's a Bichon Frise. This is my first Westminster, and she's my first bred by Bichon. So she's really fun, and she loves to show. She's a really good girl.
Due to New York State COVID-19 restrictions, Westminster's show and surrounding events are not open to spectators. Shares on Asia Pacific are trading mixed, with multiple markets in the region off the grid. Bourses in mainland China, Hong Kong and Australia are closed for holidays. Meanwhile, Japan's Nikkei has gained close to 1%. The Kospi in Seoul is trading more or less flat. The International Monetary Fund says it will work with its members on ways to provide $100 billion to the poorest countries. In an interview, IMF's managing director, Kristalina Georgieva, said the monetary body is exploring creation of a new trust. She added that the new trust would allow its members to lend their IMF reserves to a broader range of countries. Georgieva said that the $650 billion allocation of special drawing rights will help boost global reserves. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.